Koch is back, everybody. Hey, how you doing,
man? Nice to be back.
Great to have you. He was in NBC's Last Comic Standing, Comedy Central's Midnight. He's a writer on Jim Jeffries' show on Comedy Central. Nominated for a Writers Guild for America award.
Thank you.
His podcast is probably science, but he's still not sure. And in fact, Matt, we didn't discuss this. I don't think we discussed this last time, but you're a regular guest co-host on Star Talk with Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, that's a fun little gig I get to do from time to time.
Yeah.
Now I'm just jealous of you.
They realize that I have just enough science knowledge to be able to sit there and not be a complete idiot, but enough that I can be the idiot.
Okay.
That's,
you know why? Because it's probably science.
Well, that's very much why we put that in the title of our podcast. We knew we couldn't have, definitely.
Okay, so lots to get to today. Unexpected anger at Whoopi Goldberg, of all people. Why is that happening? Well, you're going to see that in a second. Acosta's back, and so is Ocasio-Cortez. I don't know if you guys know this. I'm tidying up in the middle of the show.
I like a little housekeeping.
Yeah, I need pens because I'm a writer. Okay, and the conservative writer, or I guess he's conservative, who works for the Washington Examiner, commented on her clothes and honestly on her posterior. And so we will have that discussion a little bit later on in the show. And then Trump's a little jittery about the Mueller questions. So
I don't know if you know this, but he answered those questions. No one else.
Not the lawyers.
Yeah, he didn't seem jittery at all. He seemed very calm and confident, as he always is, because he knows it's a hoax.
I'm not agitated. Who told you I'm agitated?
People say I'm agitated, but a lot of people say I'm not. So
a lot of people say there's good agitated people on both sides. Okay, and I answer the questions from the standpoint of me. Okay. Anyways, so I'm so jazzed up about the first story. Let's go. Let's do it.
All right. There are calls within the Democratic Party to announce a new Speaker of the House. Now, Nancy Pelosi still wants to be the House Majority Leader. She is not planning on stepping down. However, there are calls for her to do so, and there are other individuals within Congress who feel like they would do a better job representing the Democratic Party. Congresswoman Barbara Lee is one of those congresspeople. Now, with that said, earlier this week, a story broke involving Justice Democrats and other progressives who went to Nancy Pelosi's office to protest. And the whole point of that protest was to push establishment Democrats to sponsor a green jobs bill, right? And a push toward 100% renewable energy. Now, of course, the establishment didn't like it, and another person who didn't like it very much was Whoopi Goldberg on The View. Now, she went to great lengths to attack Justice Democrats, a platform that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was supported by. And let's hear what she had to say.
You know, some of y'all calling yourselves, what was it? It's something crazy. Not crazy, but it really kind of freaked me out. Justice Democrats. So I know, so...
Okay, we're going to get to the substance of our argument in just a minute, but I don't understand why the name Justice Democrats would freak anyone out.
No, I do, because I chose the name, and I chose the name on purpose to freak people like Whoopi Goldberg out. Okay, so let me explain. So four of us started the Justice Democrats. Me, Koklinski on Secular Talk, Shortcut Chakrabarty, who's now the chief of staff for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and Zach Exley, who was a huge part of the Bernie Sanders campaign, and so was Shortcut. So Shortcut is the most pivotal person. He helped get Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez elected. He ran Justice Democrats for a long time. Alexandra Rojas now runs it. She's a wonderful organizer. Okay, so now, why do we pick the name Justice Democrats? Because of two things, honestly. One is powerful. The other one is, a little fun, okay? The powerful part is, why justice? Because we're for social justice and economic justice. And the fun part is, the one litmus test, and yes, there is a litmus test, so Whoopi, hold on to your seat, okay? Oh, these young people with their litmus test, why don't they just let Nancy Pelosi run the Democratic Party into the ground? And I'll make that case for you in a second. Because they represent their donors. So it's a little bit of a play on words as well. Those Justice Democrats represent just us, okay, and not the donors, okay. And so, but the reason I knew that it would freak people out is because, oh, that sounds aggressive. What do you mean justice? And what do you mean just us? What? I mean, why not the donors? Why not the donors?
It also sounds a bit DC Comics.
Yeah, it does.
Like,
That's
there's
right.
definitely a sort of superhero vibe going on there, like the Justice
That's right. And people in the
Do you wear
establishment,
capes?
yeah, they don't like rocking the boat. But that kind of stuff makes them uncomfortable. And so, in the case of Whoopi Goldberg, to be fair to her, I'm sure that she's totally in favor of social justice and economic justice. And I guess she's getting, in her case, she might be, and look, I'm happy to have a conversation with her about it because she's not a bad person at all, right? I just think she's wrong about this. I think that she's uncomfortable, like, wait a minute, are you the ones claiming to fight for justice, and what, does that mean we're not? Kind of, and I don't mean you, Whoopi, but I mean the establishment Democrats. Really? What kind of economic justice has Nancy Pelosi and Dianne Feinstein been fighting for? She mentioned, I'm not just pulling that name out of a hat, Whoopi mentioned Dianne Feinstein, I believe, a couple of times in that rant.
She did.
Yeah.
And look, I think that this is a failure on the part of the producers at The View, and I don't make those types of criticisms, I don't take them lightly. And the reason why I say that is because if you're going to have someone on the show attack a political organization, or attack anyone for that matter, it is your job to research and brief Whoopi Goldberg on the reality of who Dianne Feinstein really is, the fact that she used her position of power in order to enrich herself and her husband, making millions upon millions of dollars in the real estate industry here in California, and we have an affordable housing crisis here in the state. I mean, these are things that are easy to research, and I don't know why the producers didn't do that.
No, to be fair to the producers and to The View overall, no one in television does their research, and so I know that they're not. That's not going to lighten what we're saying at all to them. They're going to be even more mad about that. But like, who calls out Dianne Feinstein on television? What, Joe Scarborough, Rachel Maddow? None of them do it. None of them. Dianne Feinstein voted for Bush's tax cuts. Bush's tax cuts for the rich were even larger than Trump's tax cuts for the rich. You know why she voted for that? Because she's rich. She's a billionaire. And by the way, all of her donors are incredibly wealthy. But you never talk about her donors, so you find that offensive.
Okay.
But that's the reality.
So we have so many videos, clips to get to, so I want to show you the heart of her argument. So what is she blaming this negative treatment toward Nancy Pelosi on? Well, I'm sure some of you can guess. Take a look.
Are you saying that other Democrats who've been fighting for 25, 30 years aren't justice Democrats? You think that, I don't know, let's name a couple of people who've been fighting. John Conyers, who's not there anymore, and you know, yeah, I mean, you need the experience. You need experience to handle all this stuff. And if you don't have it, sit back and learn some stuff and then take over. But you can't come in and pee all over everything and say it's done. You can't do that.
Sit back and learn some stuff was my favorite line in that particular clip, as she is giving her honestly ignorant opinion on Justice Democrats. It's ignorant. I'm not calling her stupid, I'm calling her ignorant, which means that she just doesn't know. She's not educated on what this issue is, right? Who the Justice Democrats are and what their very legitimate grievances are when it comes to members of Congress.
I will say one critique, because you say no one in TV does their research, and I work on a TV show, and I can tell you we spend upwards of minutes on Wikipedia for every topic. And so I just want to make that correction. I want to make that clear.
Yeah. So look, we're fair. Yeah. So you see that point is well represented here. Okay, onto the substance even more so. So they named a couple of people, and that was interesting. John Conyers, super fair. Now the scandal that ended his career was super unfortunate, and that's his own doing. But I felt terrible about it because I actually think he was an absolute icon, and one of my favorite people in Congress, and I knew him well. I interviewed him many times, and so I have great respect for John Conyers. So, boy, did you pick the wrong name for I guess you guys thinking we criticize them, because that's not what happened, okay? And then Steny Hoyer. Hoyer is potentially the most corrupt Democrat in the House. So that goes to Anna's point about lack of research. I mean, he takes makes so much corporate money. That's the thing Hoyer is known for, is taking incredible wads of corporate cash and then delivering for those corporate clients. And that's why he's in the position of power that he has. If we sat back and learned from Hoyer, you know what we would learn? We would learn corruption. So we would learn, hey, you take a lot of campaign contributions from giant corporations and really, really wealthy people, and then you give them tax cuts, and then you turn around and say, well, there's nothing we can do. The Republicans made us do it. Golly gee. We lost again. What could we do? We lost again. What could we do?
Jake, but what you don't understand is that Steny Hoyer has a lot of experience in corruption. And so
that is not what I want to learn.
Right. Now, there's more. Take a look.
Reportedly, some of the newly elected female Democrats are part of a so-called pink wave who are questioning whether Nancy Pelosi should be Speaker of the House. They say, you know, she's too old, she should step aside and let the new folks. So, okay.
Yeah.
If you're going to be the new folks, you also need to do your homework. Let's take it, for example, a Nancy Pelosi or Dianne Feinstein. Two women battling and still at work. Battling their male counterparts on both sides, okay? Nancy Pelosi got most of that Obama bill through. She fought
the Obamacare.
Obamacare.
Right.
She has been on the side of right for most of the time she's been in. The same with Dianne Feinstein, and the same with a whole bunch of these folks who have gotten older. You know what aged them? Fighting for the right to be an American 100%.
No one has ever accused Nancy Pelosi of being too old to be Speaker of the House. I mean, a lot of the people who are calling on Nancy Pelosi to step down as Speaker are the very same people who wanted to elect Bernie Sanders as the President of the United States.
But
Bernie Sanders is no whippersnapper.
And I do know people who say that politicians are too old. It's establishment Democrats who say it about Bernie Sanders nonstop. And then they'll turn around and go, Joe Biden's the right guy. Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders are 1 year apart. They say Nancy Pelosi is wonderful, and Steny Hoyer is wonderful, and all those people in Democratic leadership are about the same age as Bernie Sanders. In fact, I think they're older. But they'll say, Bernie Sanders is too old. We need young blood. Don't you dare say Nancy Pelosi's too old. But by the way, we don't. So if you ask progressives who they support for that leadership position, Barbara Lee has not asked for it, and she's not campaigning for it. But I don't care. Barbara Lee is wonderful, and it's not like she's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who's 29. Years old. Barbara Lee's been around for quite some time and has the right experience. So why does she have the right experience? Because she was the sole vote not only against Iraq war, where there were other votes, but the sole vote against Afghanistan war. And she was brave. And she was courageous. On the other hand, the person you named, Dianne Feinstein, voted for not just Afghanistan, but for the Iraq war, and then her husband made money off the Iraq war. He got contracts in that war. But you see, and then, so that's why I then more than agree with Anna when she says you didn't do your homework. Because then Whoopi claimed that Justice Democrats didn't do their homework. You want to do a pop quiz on policy? No, you don't. No, you don't. Okay, so Feinstein has the wrong kind of experience, always voted for wars and tax cuts for the rich, whereas Barbara Lee has wonderful experience that those young women of color who won those races, when none of you believed in them, by the way, but we did, could learn from Barbara Lee's experience. She would be an excellent Speaker of the House because she's fought for all those right things. I'm going to come back to Master Legislator. In a second.
Oh, I will say, yeah, we had Barbara Lee. Jim interviewed her on our show. She was awesome. I will say, you know far more of the facts than I do, but I do know for a fact one thing that Whoopi said that was wrong, which she said what aged her was fighting for justice. I think it was actually what aged them both was the passage of time. Quite odd. They actually both, I mean, like, maybe Feinstein less so, but Pelosi looks pretty young for someone her age. she looks pretty relaxed.
Yeah.
She does,
it's just not.
She doesn't look like someone who was aged before her time.
Yeah, and it's, again, it's not about age. It's not about physical appearance. It's about policy, and this push to slander a very important movement at this moment, especially at this moment, it's just sad. It's sad because, all these calls for unity within the Democratic Party solely focus on getting progressives to fall in line, right?
Yep.
Get in line, fall in line, pay your dues. How dare you? We have a process here. And look, one of the biggest issues that progressives have with someone like Nancy Pelosi is that after nearly 2 hideous, horrible years of Donald Trump and his unbelievably horrific policies, after the Democrats win the House, Nancy Pelosi calls for unity and bipartisanship. No, we don't want bipartisanship with someone like Trump. Okay, the Republicans are too far gone. Bipartisanship is over as long as they're falling in line with someone like Donald Trump. So to have Nancy Pelosi, after all this, come forward and say, it's time to unite, now it's time for bipartisanship. No, we're not having it. Okay, one more clip. Let's take a look.
Well, woman who wants
you
to,
can't
one of the
pull on
women who's
that.
challenging her is a 60-something-year-old woman. It's not really about her age. No, but as I said, if you're reading the Justice Democrats thing, and they're talking about gathering all these people to get rid of the old guard. Yeah. Who have not been fighting for the justice. They've been paying money, getting money for the big. It's like, who are you talking about?
Well, she's tough too. I mean, you need somebody tough like her. She's not afraid of the rain like some people.
She knows how to raise money. She knows how to rally votes.
She'll go out in the rain and
I'm just
fight.
saying, I don't mind a healthy fight, but don't make it about because you're old, you can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
No one's made that argument. No one said, oh, Nancy Pelosi's old, she can't do this anymore. I mean, it's frustrating. It's so frustrating.
Okay, so if you noticed, Abby Huntsman jumped in there. She goes, she knows how to raise money. Yeah, I know. That's her big claim to fame. My God, if there are corporate interests we need to serve, Nancy Pelosi will go out there, raise money from them, and make them promises, which we're going to get to in a second as well, to give you even more specifics. And Joy Behar, as usual, was the most correct when she jumped in and said, no, the person they're backing is, in their 60s. And another point in this rant by Whoopi Goldberg, she said, why don't they ever go after Mitch McConnell? Have you ever seen what we've done to Mitch McConnell? It's illegal in 13 states. Okay, and this whole idea, and then that segment was labeled online at least. Are people charging Nancy Pelosi's too old? Is it ageist or sexist? What do you mean? Wait. They didn't even talk about that, and that's good. So I'm not blaming him for that. I don't know who titled it, but Chuck Schumer, same exact problem. Steny Hoyer, same exact problem. And so it has absolutely nothing to do with that. And so let's get to to me, the most important part. Is she good at her job? Nancy Pelosi. Well, as Whoopi Goldberg started talking about the things she got accomplished, I thought in my head, I guarantee you the only thing she can name is Obamacare. Because that's the only major piece of legislation Nancy Pelosi has ever gotten passed. And now let's see. Well, is that a big accomplishment? Remember, it was originally Romneycare. It was. That's a fact. You could look into it. Okay.
It was a Heritage Foundation policy out of the state of Massachusetts, which Mitt Romney pushed for and succeeded in accomplishing, again, in the state of Massachusetts.
Almost identical,
Yep.
okay? The Heritage Foundation is a conservative think tank, and obviously you know who Mitt Romney is. So let's review her only major piece of legislation passed that anyone could ever name is healthcare designed by a conservative think tank heralded by Mitt Romney when the Democrats had a super majority. Wow, I didn't know she was that good at legislating. Okay, that is comically bad record. And meanwhile, let's talk about the rest. Loss after loss after loss to the Republicans. Just humiliated by the Republicans over and over again. They got every war they wanted. They've got every tax cut they wanted. They got all the deregulations that they wanted, all under Nancy Pelosi's watch. So if you're actually going to have a conversation about her record, that's actually the worst case you could make for her. You should try to bury that and not talk about it because it's deeply embarrassing. Yes, it's time for new leadership. It doesn't mean young. It means new leadership because this experience has been honestly disastrous. I'm going to say one last thing. You know, she said, sit back, and Anna objected to that, right? Sit back and learn, right? Look, most progressives talk about how we need to have change now, the fierce urgency of now. Why? For far too long, the Democratic Party has sold us the tranquilizing drug of gradualism. And we're sick of it. It doesn't actually lead to bigger victories later. They always talk about, like, oh, just be incremental. Today, Nancy Pelosi came out after the election and not only said she wants to do deals with Republicans, these monstrous Republicans, and not the Republicans from the 1980s. When they were doing bipartisanship and it was a totally different party. This said, with Mitch McConnell and in the Senate and with the horrific people in the Tea Party in the House, etc. But then she came out and said, "Oh, Medicare for all." No. We have to figure out how are we going to pay for that. That's a Republican talking point. So what did you do? Your first act is concede to the Republicans and use their talking points. That doesn't eventually lead to victories. That is what has led to all of these defeats under the guise of, oh, gradualism. Just take that tranquilizing drug. Everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, and Nancy Pelosi right now is taking a lead pipe to the kneecap of Medicare for all. By pushing for that supermajority to increase taxes for the bottom 80% of earners. Now, on its face, that sounds like it's great, right? Let's not raise taxes on people other than the top 10%. But what this does is it cuts funding for the same programs that Justice Democrats are fighting for, Medicare for All being one of them. And so it's a preemptive strike against these progressive policies. And it gives you a sense of who Nancy Pelosi really is and what she's really pushing for. She doesn't want single payer. She's been abundantly clear about that.
All right. We got to take a break.
Yeah.
All right. We got more righteous anger where that came from. In fact, when we return, more justice.
Oh, freaking me out.
Koch Brothers are the poster boys for the 1%.
We have 15 homes in this area, and maybe 11 people have died with cancer.
What
what they're actually trying to do is dismantle the whole public school system.
The Koch brothers support laws that are the most aggressive attempt to roll back voting rights in this country that we've seen in over a century.
You buy yourself a Congress that has single-handedly tried to eviscerate environmental regulation across the board.
The Koch brothers are funding think tanks spreading an enormous amount of disinformation about Social Security. Once we expose Koch brothers, that unlocks the door.
We need to pay attention to what the Koch brothers
Bad enough
are doing.
we
We need to
got
care about what they're doing because it is affecting us.
We're not going to be fooled anymore.
This isn't Anderson Cooper. If you say some BS, I'm not simply going to let it slide and then move on to the next thing. This is what the establishment does not understand about politics. You can change the conversation.
This is my place in that broader revolution.
We first have to fight to prove that we are human. We then have to fight for our freedom. Then we fight for our equality. And now we are fighting for our survival because you're militarized. Police force thinks it's okay to shoot us at any point in time.
Look at what's happening in society today, and it's hard not to think about what was going on in the 50s and 60s.
We're all out here. Everybody that cares about where this country's going, we're out here.
We are going to win this fight. We are going to transform this country.
Whoever wins this primary wins the seat.
We just took down one of the top establishment Democrats in the country.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has defeated Joe Crowley.
Down goes Crowley! Down goes Crowley! Are suffering, and we won't even cut 10% of the money going to military contracts.
The cost of one modern heavy bomber is this: a modern brick school in more than 30 cities.
A tiny sliver of the defense budget. Would pay
for 395,000 teachers.
We're talking about the future of the country. We're talking about the nation's youth and making sure that we are competitive globally. And the only way to do that is to make sure that we provide quality education for our young people.
Back on the Young Turks, I'm going to go to Cody here with a great comment from the member section. Brand new member here. I've been watching TYT since 2011. I was originally a Republican, but the evidence-based reporting at TYT quickly made me more and more progressive. Keep fighting the good fight. That is awesome. Thank you, Cody. And by the way, so you know we're doing this competition where you can go and become a member through the host names like tyt.com/jank
Anna.
or tyt.com/jank.
Anna.
Okay.
Oh, you don't like that.
Or Jana. That's not a thing. Okay. And I've been complaining all week that I have not been able to catch John Idol. I'm starting to get pretty pissed about it. You know what? I can't accept that.
You know what will really work? With the audience by getting like super salty and agitated about it. I'm sure that'll persuade them to sign up under your name.
Yes, I think it will. That's my only move. That's my go-to move. That's the Uber maneuver. Okay.
Tantrum your way to success.
Yeah. So,
the White House, are we?
well, it's begun to work. I was down by 12. Now I'm only down by 4. So by the end of the show, can we put me over the top here? tyt.com/jank. Okay, let's pass.
Johnny Pie.
Yeah.
That's my buddy, though.
Oh, buddy. Hey, little buddy. Okay. Anyway, he's not on the show, is he? Sad day. Whereas I've been here all week. All right, so let me tell you about specials that I am bringing for you guys. I alone can bring you these specials. Now I'm kidding. All right, seriously, November 19th and November 20th. That's next week, Monday and Tuesday. November 19th, members get to ask us questions, and a lot of you will be on video, so you'll get to. It's a thing. Called Shindig, and your face appears next to our face. Anyway, you get it. You'll ask questions, and we'll make the post game live for everybody. So make sure that you stick around for after Rebel headquarters on November 19th. But you got to be a member to ask a question. Okay, so tyt.com/jank, obviously. All right, and then on the 20th, Bananas Bonanza. Okay. You're going to love the show on the 20th. We've got a massive surprise for you guys. Mm-hmm. Massive surprise on the 20th. So we got a regular show and then a 3-hour special afterwards with actually a couple of different surprises, but one giant one. So I think you're going to love that. All right, I got to go. So I'm going to just read 2 more comments. Here, Robert F. Strickland, Whoopi, love you, but you need to join TYT to get enlightened. I like that. And then Mars then 1991 on Twitter says Nancy Pelosi had a supermajority in the House and said it was too hard to pass the full health care for all part of the same bill. Instead, she negotiated with the Republicans to the watered down version that came out. That's not a fighter, that's a Chamberlain. Okay, so that's pretty harsh, but the facts are pretty accurate. And oh right, and I also need you to panic about one other thing. It's day 3 of 10 days of Black Friday. So if you buy over $100 at the shop, shoptyt.com, free shipping. But this is the only day that there's free shipping. We're not playing. Only day where there's free shipping. Need to panic right now if you're buying orders over $100. Perfect for Christmas shopping, shoptyt.com. All right, Casper, what's next?
All right. The Jim Acosta press credentials saga. Has come to an end, possibly, with the judge ruling in CNN's favor and allowing for Jim Acosta to receive his press credentials in order to cover the White House. Now, Acosta's press credentials, of course, were taken away following a heated exchange he had with Donald Trump a day after midterm elections, and that was a violation of the First Amendment and the Fifth Amendment, and it appears that Judge Timothy Kelly agrees. So the judge, who is a Trump appointee, granted CNN's request for a court order that would temporarily reinstate Jim Acosta's White House press pass. Now, Sarah Huckabee Sanders has responded to this by saying, today the court made clear that there is no absolute First Amendment right to access to the White House. Okay, let's stop right there. That is not what the court made clear. What the court
kind of made the opposite clear. But in the alternative facts, the court ruled in their favor. I don't know why Jim Acosta is back in the White House, but on their planet, he isn't.
Her statement continues to say, in response to the court, we will temporarily reinstate the reporter's hard pass. We will also further develop rules and processes to ensure fair and orderly press conferences in the future. There must be decorum at the White House, says a woman who is working for a man who says things like grab him by the pussy. But that's not in the White House, to be fair.
Yeah, but maybe he grabs them in a decorous way.
Right.
You know,
right. I mean,
he does it with grace and charm.
The leader of this country doesn't even understand what decorum is. I mean, he gave a speech today about Antonin Scalia and honored his wife and mentioned how many kids they have. And in that speech said, wow, boy, you guys were real busy. I mean, how about let's not talk about the sex life of, Supreme Court Justice who
for so many
passed
reasons.
Away. Yeah.
For so many reasons I don't want to know about Scalia's sex life.
Totally.
Yeah.
So anyway, I want to quickly go to Trump's video real quick, and then we'll comment. Take a look.
Just people have to behave, and they have to do. We're writing up rules and regulations to make our position. I think you were treated very unfairly. Both of you, I think you were treated very unfairly because you have somebody interrupting you, and if they don't listen to the rules and regulations, we'll end up back in court and we'll win. But more importantly, we'll just leave. and then you won't be very happy, because we do get good ratings. We want total freedom of the press. It's very important to me. It's more important to me than anybody would believe. But you have to act with respect. You're in the White House, and when I see the way some of my people get treated at press conferences, it's terrible. So we always have the option of just leaving. You know, if we feel that things aren't being treated properly, that people aren't being treated properly, we always have the right to leave. And I think the other media, the other press in the room will not be very happy if that happens. But I've instructed my people, when they're not treated properly, you have the right to just leave anytime you want.
It's a child going, oh yeah, I can take my ball and go home. Yeah, you didn't think about that.
Mm-hmm. Says that in the Constitution.
Yeah, right there in the.
The Constitution says it's the president's ball and he can go whenever he wants to go.
Seventh Amendment. Look it up. Okay.
Now it's unclear. He talked about regulations within the press pool. It's unclear if for every new press-related regulation he's going to repeal 2 other regulations. But we'll see. We'll see, because he does believe in the free marketplace of ideas. Yeah.
So. But it's also an admission that they clipped in a way that was nowhere near legal or constitutional. So when
the judge who ruled in this case, Timothy Kelly, it was picked by Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so a Trump-appointed judge was like, yeah, no, not even close to right. So that's why he goes.
So okay, we'll get some new strong rules and regulations. Yeah, like maybe you should follow the law next time. That's a rule and a regulation. And he said, now I'm more in favor of press freedom than anyone would believe. Well, that's true. No one would believe it.
He's finally honest for once. By the way, so as we had stated, the press pass at the moment is temporary. So what does that mean? Well, this case is ongoing. So according to reports, Kelly, meaning the judge, ruled that the White House had violated Acosta's due process. He ordered both parties to file a joint status report next week on how to proceed in the case. This is now my speculation, but my guess is, as with everything that's happened with Trump in the past, this story will just go away. Because you can't violate the constitutional rights of Americans, and especially the press. I mean, the whole point of them being there is to ask you questions, even questions that you don't like. And so, I don't know how he plans on fighting this moving forward. My guess is he won't.
I mean, maybe, what if they do just ask him questions that he likes? Maybe that's the good compromise. Like, if they just ask things like, how did you get so brave and powerful?
But look,
but that is really his idea of
that is
press.
absolutely, like,
yeah.
you just, that's a good suit. Where did you get it from and who made it?
And the tape you have on the back of your tie? Genius. You're the first person to think of that.
But is it unfair to say that the press was kind of like that prior to Trump?
I actually think they were.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sure they don't think so, but we saw them during Bush and Obama, and I don't think they were anywhere near tough enough.
And look, it might be unfair because I'm sure sure that there were reporters who did ask tough questions. But the thing about Trump is that it was culture shock. I mean, he's just so shocking in not only his rhetoric, but the policies that he's implemented, including, you know, the zero tolerance policy of taking children away from their parents at the border. It's just such a shock that reporters were kind of, I guess, taken out of their complacency and then forced to do their jobs, which is, I guess, one tiny silver lining in the Trump era.
He did say something in that last piece of nonsense that I wish wasn't true, but is true. Because when he said, we'll leave and then you'll be sad because we get good ratings. And I wish everyone in that press pool was like, no, we would be angry if you left because that is a violation of the Constitution. And the freedom of the press. But I'm sure underneath it all they're like, yeah, it does get good ratings, and that's why we would be more upset if we couldn't do this press conference.
Former head of CBS, CBS News, or just...
No, CBS overall, Les Moonves.
Les Moonves. He admitted during Trump's campaign that he might be terrible for America, but he's great for ratings.
And CNN and so on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
they made this monster.
I'm gonna go back to the first couple of quotes real quick, because I like that they're like, okay, do you see how the court has ruled that you don't have an absolute right to the First Amendment? That's why Jim Acosta's back. What? Okay, wait, that. Okay, that didn't make any sense. Anyway, but I want to be fair to them because we're in the fair business, okay? You guys said he doesn't, like Anna, you said he doesn't know decorum. That's not true. Mm-hmm. I heard him say it once. No, decorum is the strongest room I have. I love decorum. It's my favorite room in the White House.
I'm an interior decorum expert.
Okay.
Okay. So let's move on to some other news. Donald Trump has appeared irritable recently, a little agitated, and he denies that he's agitated. In fact, he claims that this whole Mueller investigation and the questions that he's answering for Special Counsel Robert Mueller, no biggie, he's just chilling. Take a look.
Can you provide answers, sir? About what? The Special Counsel. My lawyers aren't working on that. I'm working on that. I write the answers. My lawyers don't write answers. I write answers. I was asked a series of questions. I've answered them very easily. Very easily. I'm sure they're tricked up because, you know, they like to catch people. Gee, you know, was the weather sunny or was it rainy? He said it may have been a good day. It was rainy, therefore he told a lie. He perjured himself. Okay, so you have to always be careful when you answer questions with people that probably have bad intentions, but no, it's the questions were very routinely answered by me.
All right, so I just want to reiterate what he said. He said, I write the answers, my lawyers don't write the answers, I write the answers. CNN has previously reported that Trump has met with his lawyers several times this week to go over Mueller's questions. Yeah. So, I mean, look, in effect, it would be stupid to allow him to live. really write the answers. And it's smart that he's met with his lawyers. Now, I don't know. I don't know what the answers are, but my guess is he probably still perjured himself.
Look, maybe this is my liberal prejudice here, but I'm not 100% certain that Donald Trump can write. So I don't know. I haven't seen full evidence that he's ever written anything other than his own name, which he very proudly shows off whenever he does it. So I'm not 100% sure that he's mastered other words.
Yeah.
But maybe this is me. Maybe that's my prejudice speaking.
Yeah. No, to be fair, he does do tweets, and in the tweets, he misspells, 10% of the words, capitalizes randomly for no reason 50% of the words, including on this issue that he says he's not concerned about at all. No. It was easy. That's why he sent out a tweet saying, "It's a hoax! It's a terrible witch hunt!" All caps, of course, screaming into the abyss. And that's what people who are not concerned often do.
Yeah, exactly. Now, he has been accused of being agitated. Is he? I don't know. Let's hear.
You on Twitter yesterday seemed a bit agitated about what you might be receiving the Mueller investigation.
No, I'm not agitated. It's a hoax. The whole thing is a hoax. There was no collusion.
But did anything trigger that set of tweets?
No, not at all. No, I'm very happy. I'm very happy with the White House. I'm extremely happy with our country. We're doing better on the economy. Maybe it's the best economy we've ever had. They may be the best unemployment numbers and employment numbers that we've ever had.
What does that even mean? Did he say best employment numbers and deployment numbers?
No, unemployment and employment.
I see. I thought he said deployment.
He denies that he's agitated in the same tone that a guy in a bar insists that he's good to drive.
Yeah.
It's like, I can just give me my keys. Just give me my keys because I am fine. There's no agitation. We're all good.
Do we have the best unemployment numbers and employment numbers? Whatever that means.
Both ways.
And numbers. We have the strongest numbers there are. Okay. So non-agitated people do not scream on Twitter. That's just not a thing. And so look, on the issue of the lawyers, Anna's totally right. I mean, if they're not incompetent, which is a big if, one of his lawyers is Rudy Giuliani, of course they'd write the answers for him. And at a bare minimum, what they would do is, and lawyers do stuff like this, they'll say, now, we want to be clear here, Mr. President. We are not writing these answers. You are writing these answers. This is just our suggestion for what you are writing, okay? And that way he can turn around and go, no, I wrote the answers. I wrote them. My lawyers told me I wrote them when they gave them to me.
Which, by the way, is so perfect for someone like Trump because he likes to take the credit for everything.
Yeah.
So, no, I got no help. I wrote those answers.
I wrote the answers. Yeah. I'm a self-made man who inherited no money from his dad.
Only $1 million loan, which I returned with interest.
Which turned out to actually be $400 million, but whatever. Nothing.
And it wasn't a loan, it was just given to me. But but the other alternative is actually better/worse. So, look, if the lawyers did that, that's their job. It wouldn't be that big a deal. That's what they should do, right? But there's some chance that Trump's being honest because he can't help himself. You remember that hilarious doctor's note when he was running for office where he said, "This is the healthiest person who has ever
run for office. He would be the healthiest president ever. How could a doctor possibly know how healthy George Washington was, let alone George W. Bush, let alone... anyone! Like, I mean, I guess Taft, you could argue, was not that healthy.
I mean, we saw those pictures of Obama at the beach.
Yeah,
like,
okay.
It's kind of hard
Kennedy.
to say you're the healthiest
You're saying you're more healthy.
Prime Kennedy?
Yeah. So Trump eventually, when he was in office, ordered his goons to break into his doctor's office and steal his own medical files, which is an unbelievable story. But he's done so many outrageous things that nobody even talks about it. Anyway, at that point, the doctor came out and said, "Yeah, no, I didn't write the letter. Trump wrote the letter. Of course, I didn't write the letter declaring him the healthiest person in the universe, right? What a preposterous thing." Right?
It was full of things. That doctors obviously don't write. I mean, like numerous doctors. Jen Gunter on Twitter, for example, who's a doctor, like broke down numerous things in a blog post of like, doctors don't say that the tests were good or like positive. It was like it says something in the letter like the tests were all positive, and go, well, what does that mean? Because in some tests positive is good, some tests positive is bad. Right. In some tests it's not. It's a range. There's not yes and no. That's not how no doctor in the history of doctoring writes like that.
All the tests were positive, including the HIV one.
Yes. Including pregnancy. I tested positive.
Right. And the last one is that he wrote the answers in the infamous now Russian meeting that Donald Trump Jr. And Kushner and Steve Bannon, etc. had, not Bannon, sorry, Manafort, and in Trump Tower. And they said to Donald Trump Jr., hey, did you have this meeting? And Donald Trump on Air Force One insisted on writing Donald Trump Jr.'s response himself. And of course, because he couldn't help himself, he lied all over that response. Then they lied that he didn't write it. Later, they admitted, yes, the president wrote it, and yes, a lot of things in there were not true. So if we're lucky, his lawyers will be incompetent enough to go, well, Mr. President, because he's going to insist, no, I got this. I have the best answers. I have the strongest words. I'm going to write this. And if we're lucky, his lawyers are like, all right, go for it. And then in which case, he's in a lot of trouble.
We gotta take a break. When we come back, more news for you, including that explosive New York Times piece and expose on Facebook.
What he did to women has no place in America. At least he wasn't targeting children.
Just because she's 18 now, she doesn't matter. Step up. Out of your social media bubble, Tim.
A new party game is taking America by storm. It's called Cards Against Womanity. One player reads the prompt.
The pedophile who got off easiest is blank.
The others fill in the blank.
Roman Polanski.
Woody Allen. R. Kelly.
Then yell at your friends till the buzzer sounds.
Polanski still makes movies every few years in Europe.
Woody Allen still makes movies every single year in America. R. Kelly peed on a child.
And he just released a Christmas album.
The fun never ends.
The worst perv of all the pervs is blank.
The biggest hypocrite wearing a Time's Up pin is blank.
James Franco. The perv who's been treated most unfairly is blank. These?
Believe women, Tim!
Play as individuals.
When Ben Affleck came forward, you guys drove him away, and that
This
was
is why women don't speak out, because of people like you. You don't.
There's no way you can ignore the innocent young people. We're trying to be allies here.
The fun goes on and on. Cards Against Womanity.
Who won? Nobody.
Don't forget to check back for daily expansion packs.
Dan Harmon? I liked him.
But that's not all. Order today and we'll throw in Guess Who Sexual Act Edition.
Does your perv prey on children?
No. Did he grope someone and have a dynamite recipe for flatbread?
I don't know who this guy is. Does he have a terrifying button in his office?
Yes.
Is it Donnie?
Yes.
This is the wildest, craziest motherfucking race I've ever seen.
Mexico's going to pay for the wall.
It's so good.
Very, very big price.
Today, terrible day for the internet, terrible day for America. The internet as we know it is not going to exist anymore.
A real dark day for information and yet another way that they're bleeding out the democracy.
We're now going to have these gatekeepers of information deciding what we can and can't see, and that's what scares me the most.
Whether you're conservative or progressive or anywhere in the middle, this is the one thing we should all
agree to. Protect the internet, because the establishment is coming for it. Don't let them destroy the internet.
All right. Oh, no, drop it. All right, new power panel, Cenk, Anna, Mona, shake everybody.
Yeah.
How you doing, Mona?
I am doing great. So excited to be here.
All right, excited to have you. Mona's got 1,000 different,
She's funny as hell.
Okay.
Like, let's start with that.
I'm paying her in empanadas. I just want you guys to know that.
I saw Mona's a little bit of your stand-up and loved it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so she's great. But I'm sure you do a lot of other things. So.
No, like qualifications and honors, etc. But I like this one. She became the first Pakistani female comedian to be selected for the Laugh Factory's funniest person in the world competition.
That's too much pressure. It's too much pressure.
That is too much pressure.
That's too much
Okay, yeah. Do they have one on puns? Because I'd like to enter the punniest person in the world competition. Anyway, you see, like kind of like that one. Kind of like that one. Get it? Mm-hmm. Anyway, and also Minority Reports in the world famous Comedy Store.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mona, great to have you here.
Yeah.
So we have a couple comments and updates, etc. By the way, I just got an update on the competition of the names for membership. I've closed in on Iderola, but I'm still 2 away. For God's sake, tyt.com/Cenk, okay?
Really?
To become a member, cup of coffee basically gets you progressive Netflix, okay? 17 different shows you can get if you're a member of the Young Turks ad-free. Okay, here we go. Now, speaking of the members, okay.
I love how you're trying to move on.
Before she gets to say hers, okay. Anyway, Alan from the member section says, okay, let's move on. Alan from the member section says, TYT, please talk about the CIA announcement about Jamal Khashoggi from the Washington Post. We're about to, actually, so that's our breaking news in a second. And then on YouTube Super Chat, Lars Nielsen says, have to mention Richard Ojeta's interview on Morning Joe last day. He was aggressive, spoke truth to power, and kicked ass. You guys are reading our minds. That's the second story. So hold, we're getting to both of those. And last one, Shy Coltrane 42 says, Citizens United did more damage to our democracy. Soros is not even close. That's right. And by the way, if you want to talk about the conspiracy and the puppet master who made all these decisions, well, the deciding vote and the guy who wrote Citizens United was Justice Kennedy. So if anyone is responsible for the whole mess, it would be Anthony Kennedy. So start those conspiracy theories about how the Irish rule everything. Okay, anyway.
I have to read a quick tweet that I got in response to, there's now an effort to try to get either Cenk or myself on The View to talk about Justice Democrats in response to what Whoopi Goldberg said on The View recently. And one person responded with the following, hell no, they're all crybaby clowns. Why is Anna getting ahead so fast at TYT? I'm sure it's totally related to her talent and nothing else. Been here for 11 and a half years. Have not been getting ahead fast. I've been in the same place for 11 and a half years.
Yeah, you're an overnight success over 11 and a half years of nights. Right. So
Anyway.
I love people's conspiracy theories. By the way, you know why Anna's moving up the ranks so quickly? George Soros.
All right, let's do the CIA story.
That's who he got me to in the Laugh Factory too, just so you know.
Soros, right?
Yeah,
of course.
it's all
No, he's obsessed with Pakistani comics.
Yeah. Especially the female ones.
Oh, yeah.
All about it.
I once ran into George Soros. He's like, okay, do you have any Pakistani female comics on your show? Okay, because I'm going to push for that real hard. And here's Mona.
Man, he has influence in everything.
That's right.
All right.
I just had a tuna sandwich. Soros.
All right. The CIA has concluded through its investigation that the Saudi crown prince ordered the murder of Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Now, for anyone who is paying attention to this story, it should come as no surprise, but the CIA did review evidence that apparently has proven that Jamal Khashoggi was assassinated at the hands of the Saudi crown prince. So the CIA basically examined multiple sources of information, including a phone call that the prince's brother, Khalid bin Salman, the Saudi ambassador to the United States, had with Khashoggi. He apparently told Khashoggi that he should go to the Saudi consulate in Istanbul to retrieve the documents he needed to get married, and gave him assurances that it would be safe to do so. Now, as we know, it was not safe to do so. He was murdered and his body was dismembered through a bone saw.
Yeah. Note to self, don't believe Saudi royals. Look, I'm going to make a note here that I think is obvious, but apparently it isn't. I don't know why anybody travels to Saudi Arabia. You're playing with your life. If one of the monarchs, the royals, the dictators of Saudi Arabia, decide out of pique or the morality police or whatever that they don't like something you did, they could end you. They could end your life and no one would care. And there's not a thing that you can do about it. So, look, there are other governments that are also dictatorial, that where you're taking your life in your hands. It's true. I mean, I certainly wouldn't go to North Korea, right? But especially given what the Crown Prince now, according to our own CIA, has done, which is, hey, I didn't like that guy. He insulted me, so I chopped him into pieces. I think anybody's crazy to go to Saudi Arabia.
I think the Saudi consulate, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has turned into a comedy club because they're killing it in all the wrong ways, right? I mean, I've been to Saudi Arabia. I've performed the Holy Pilgrimage. I have been a victim of their morality police, as they call them.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
What happened, Mona?
So I was 11 years old. I performed the Holy Pilgrimage. I'm 11 years old. And we were in the city of Medina, which is, I don't know if you guys know the history of Medina. So that's where Prophet Muhammad was when he was escaping, the people of Quraysh and Makkah. Oh my God, look at me just giving our history here. Okay.
Just to hear it.
Just get out of here, Mona. It's too much. It's too much. And so I'm in the city of Medina, and that one day I had decided to not wear the hijab, and the morality police or whatever basically told my brother, who was there with me and my mom, that if I didn't put the hijab back on, they were going to beat me with a stick.
Oh my God.
Yeah, on the spot. So it's pretty hardcore in Saudi Arabia, for sure. And just like you said, I mean, if you say one negative thing or they don't like it, you step foot there and that foot is gone. Yeah, that foot is gone.
Yeah.
Well, the CIA did look into various pieces of evidence that were provided by the Turks. So to give you an idea, among the intelligence assembled by the CIA is an audio recording from a listening device that the Turks placed in the Saudi consulate. So this is what we've been hearing about throughout this story developing. And the Turks gave the CIA a copy of that audio. And so that was among the various pieces of evidence that they used to come to this conclusion. And this conclusion really puts the CIA at odds with Donald Trump, who does not like this news. He's been trying to either brush this under the rug or, find excuses for what really happened. And according to this report, President Trump has resisted pinning the blame for the killing on Mohammed, who enjoys a close relationship with Jared Kushner. Privately, aides say that Trump has been shown evidence of the prince's involvement, but remains skeptical that he had ordered the killing.
Well, because he has said dozens of times now, look, we have a $110 billion weapons deal with them, and so it's unfortunate what's happened. And he said they didn't do a very good job of covering up. Oh, that's the main concern. That's the main concern, right? Because if they'd done a good job of covering up, then we would just keep making money, etc. And it's not $110 billion. It's $14 billion, usual Donald Trump misstatement. And he also has personal interest there. When he started running for office, he immediately looked to get permits to do business with Saudi Arabia and receive them. So whether it's while he's in office or after he gets out of office, he stands to make money from the Saudis, and Mohammed bin Salman runs the country. So it would be against Donald Trump's personal financial interests to declare what is apparently true and our own government believes is true, and Trump simply won't accept.
So now the ball is in the Trump administration's court,
and it remains to be seen whether or not Trump is actually going to carry out real consequences toward the Saudi royals. They've done this ridiculous half measure where they've, not even a half measure, I mean, it's almost a non-measure, where they've implemented some sanctions against some of the individuals who are involved in this, but they haven't taken any action. And by the way, when I say take action, I don't mean I want to go to war with Saudi Arabia, but certainly shouldn't be fighting their and helping them commit genocide against the Yemenis.
And one more thing, you know, Mona's joking around. If you step foot there, you might lose your foot, but it actually is a reality. They do the same things as ISIS that we were outraged by. You know, oh my God, the beheadings and chopping off limbs. But the Saudi government does that. They believe in a very similar fundamentalist reading of the Quran. That is not the correct, or certainly not the sole reading of the Quran, but they have the most fundamentalist version. But since they buy our weapons and they give us cheap oil, it's not just Trump. Let's keep it real. Obama and Bush and Clinton, they all looked the other way. Reagan, they all did it. They all looked the other way. When they were, and then they turn around and go, look at ISIS decapitating and dismembering people. The Saudis, don't look. Whatever you do, don't look at them doing the same things. But they have been this entire time.
Well, yeah, and the other thing is that I think a lot of people, I don't know if they even pay attention to the fact that, you know, when the whole Muslim ban thing happened, right, they put those 6 Muslim countries, and Saudi Arabia was not on the list. I mean, most of the terrorism you see in the world today has been sponsored by Saudi Arabia. I mean, they imported Wahhabism, which is the extreme form, you know, of Islam, where, you know, you have all these terrorist groups that are rising in poor Muslim nations. It's because of Saudi Arabia. I mean, Saudi Arabia has been behind this for a long time. And the fact that, you know, I just love the fact that the Trump administration just picks and chooses the kind of Muslims they like. They're like wealthy Muslims, come on in. It's like a club. Yeah. You know, it's just like you're wearing Gucci, come on in. You know, you're a Saudi, come on in. I mean, it's ridiculous with them.
Yeah, and so lastly, you know, it's funny, I've never made this point before, but so another thing to be pissed at the Saudis over, and it's a long list, is they've misdirected the anger of people in a way that has cost so many other Muslims throughout the world. So 1.6 billion Muslims are not extremist Muslims like the Saudi government, right? But because of their actions in supporting terrorism, the rest of Muslims got smeared.
That's correct.
But then, ironically, they got away with it.
That's right.
They get all the benefits from the United States government, even though 15 out of the 19 hijackers were Saudis, even though we know that some of the Saudi royals funded 9/11. We know some of the Saudi royals funded the Sunni insurgency in Iraq. They got our troops killed. Right. And Wahhabism, which is the extreme form of Islam, came out of Saudi Arabia. So the guys who actually are guilty are the only ones that are being protected by the United States government, while Donald Trump turns around and smears all other Muslims.
That's correct. And this whole, you know, the whole thing in Yemen that's going down right now, this is really a war between Shias and Sunnis, because Saudi Arabia is Sunni, right, and the Yemenis are Shias, and the Houthi tribe, who are also Shia, because Saudi Arabia knows that their borders are both with the Shia countries, so they're taking as many Shias out as they can, and they're not even bringing that up. I mean, what, 250,000 Yemenis are going to die because of the starvation, and the fact that U.S. is involved in that war it's terrible.
I would love to see a reporter ask Trump to just explain the difference between Sunni and Shia Muslims.
Oh, I know the difference. What I know about the Muslims are very strong.
Yeah.
My knowledge is strong. Okay, fine, but what's a Sunni and a Shia? I Shia what you're doing. Okay. So
I think.
Of course he doesn't know. He couldn't possibly know.
I don't think he knows. All right. So before we end this segment, I want to do a completely different story that I was amused by, and not amused. It was a great video. So Richard Ojeda, who had run for office in the state of West Virginia, has now decided to run as president in 2020. Now, even though he doesn't necessarily have uber progressive policy proposals, the one thing that really stands out about him is the fact that he's a fighter. And he demonstrated that recently on a panel on MSNBC. Take a look.
And just tactically, the way you've addressed Donald Trump, there are almost two camps who say a lot of people ignored him in the midterm elections. They believe that worked. Just talk about the economy, talk about health care. And then there's another camp that says in 2020, you've got to be combative. You got to play Trump's game. You got to fight the way he fights, get in the mud with him. What would be your approach to the president?
Now, I'm going to say I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight. But we're not going to be able to beat this guy by being nice. You know, he's not nice. The Republican Party's not nice. You know, it's like we got to stop fighting a battle where our enemy is wearing brass knuckles and we're carrying a pillow. It's time to knuckle up.
There's another Ojeda-ism. Time to knuckle up. So one of our members suggested that we start adding his sayings to the soundboard. Well, your wishes are command.
It's time to knuckle up.
Okay. I've been going around recently just thinking, so
I can't accept that.
So, gee, I wonder which way Ojeda was going to go when they asked him the question of, well, when they go low, should we go high or not? He's like, no, somebody, brass knuckles? Can you have the brass knuckles?
Yeah, and he's right, though. I think that you do need to have that mentality going in, because the whole we need unity and bipartisanship and I'm going to keep it classy while Donald Trump is punching me in the face, it's not going to work. And so that's what I do worry about moving forward, because there are candidates who, you know, are flirting with running, some of whom I support, I think would be great as President of the United States, but I worry about how they would handle antagonistic behavior by Donald Trump. Right? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and look, we'll see what Ojeda's platform is going to be, right? He's coming from West Virginia, and so as a result, he can't have like an uber progressive campaign where he's like, Medicare for all, you know, guns blazing. But I wish whoever the front runner is has his fighting spirit, because that's really important.
Yeah. And if Nancy Pelosi tells Ojeda, hey, listen, we might not be able to afford progressive priorities, and I think we need to do bipartisanship with Trump. My guess is Ojeda would say,
How dare she?
That's a long setup for that. No, he's, look, somebody needs a 2x4, and apparently brass knuckles. And so I love that his voice is in there no matter what. And here's a huge mistake Democrats made in 2016, and why I like that Ojeda is in the race today. In 2016, the Republicans had 17 people in the race, and they had dozens of debates. You know what that was? Billions of dollars in free media. They were covered over and over and over, and they got their message out in all those debates. Whereas the Democrats were like, shh, nobody run a primary. Everybody get out. We don't want any free media at all. We're only going to do 6 debates, and everybody shut up about it, right? Well, those are all opportunities to put out the Democratic message, the progressive message, and they flushed down the toilet. And so, Hillary Clinton, forget the Bernie Sanders and other people that were in the race and other people that could have been in the race, and they all would have added to the free media attention that the progressive message could have gotten. But Hillary Clinton got $3.25 billion of free media running for president. Now, that's a lot, right? Trump got $5 billion. So they got $2 billion more in spreading their message out. And since he's been president, they're doing that more. The more Democrats there are in primaries. Now, look, if we were biased, we would say, like the establishment did last time. They said, oh, you got to clear the field for the one who's the clear leading candidate, etc. We would say the same thing. Well, Bernie Sanders is the most popular politician in the country. He's clearly the leading candidate. Everybody clear the field for him. But we're not hypocrites like the establishment. We're not liars like the establishment. And so what we say is, no, the more voices, the better, okay? And I don't care how many establishment Democrats run. Have at it, Hoss. Everybody out there fighting for the Democratic vision adds to free media, billions of dollars of coverage for our point of view. That's our number one problem. We don't have a megaphone. And so if there's a guy who grabs a megaphone and brass knuckles, I love it.
I know the saying of when they go low, we go high. I thought originally it was we get high. I was like, is that just to deal with all of it? But I like this guy, Ojeda. I like how straightforward he is, bringing out the brass knuckles. Like, oh my God, all right, let's do this then.
Yeah.
Who's getting bloodied up?
Yeah. Yeah, sitting there and going high or getting high while we're getting our ass kicked.
I can't accept that.
Yeah.
They need not darken my doorstep.
Yeah. You gotta fight, and then later on get high if you want.
Yeah, there's a time for everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Knuckle up first, though.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we gotta take a break. We'll be right back.
You know what's interesting about the Young Turks is that people do associate wrongly that the Young Turks as something.
Joseph Kyle. I do audio for the main show, The Young Turks. I also do audio for Post Game. I started in 2006. I met Cenk Uygur at the Iraq for Sale screening that was directed by Robert Greenwald. And watching that, I want to figure out a way to be part of something that's genuine and authentic.
We're having fun on this show. Okay. You know what? I keep forgetting to tell you guys this. Let's do a fun experiment right now, okay? If you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook right now live, okay, at 7:30 Eastern, share and like the stream, okay? because we did this on election night, and there was a nice big bump up. I want to see if it happens again. And so share and like, it's so easy. Bump up, do it. Oh, you're already done. Okay. So let's do that as much as we can. On November 19th, which is Monday, we're going to do a special post game free to everybody. Normally post games are for members. But members are the only ones who can ask a question, so check that out. It's basically a video conference where the members are going to ask us questions. tyt.com/jank to join. I'm so close. Losing to John Irola, I can't accept that. and let me see where the thermometer is real quick. So on the membership drive that we're doing, and then that's going to relate to November 20th. Because of the membership drive, we are actually doing 5 new specials for you guys in the next 6 weeks. 5 of them, okay? And November 20th is going to be a Thanksgiving special bonanza. Do not miss that. There's going to be a lot of surprise in that one. You're going to absolutely love it. That's right after the main show at 8 o'clock Eastern on November 20th. Okay, and we got the thermometer? Okay, let me see it for real quick. 36,468. So close. Let's get to 500. 36,500 with TYT. That's a little misspelled, though. That's tyt.com/jank. Okay? Okay.
I just want to remind everyone that during a very difficult period in my life, John noticed how stressed out I was, and he came to work with adult coloring books because he knew that they helped me de-stress because he's a kind person. tyt.com/John.
I agree with everything John says. John is always right. Yeah. Okay. All right, you can go with someone soft like John.
No.
Or...
he's strong when he needs to be.
Yeah, or you can knuckle up.
Okay.
It's time to knuckle up.
All right, last thing is NordVPN. They're our sponsor. And this is when the holidays come, there's all these great deals. We got a great deal. They have a great deal. Limited time gets 75% off a 3-year plan with NordVPN.com/TYT. That deal is awesome.
It's the best deal.
The best. They have the strongest deals. Less than $3 a month, so you can browse and buy, by the way, also securely on all of your devices. They cover up to 6 devices. If you're not protecting the URLs you're going to, that's a major mistake. Don't do that. Use the promo code TYT, and you get an extra month off of Nord for free now. So this is the time to act. Okay. Anna, what's next?
All right.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to read comments. Real quick, Kristen, members comment. I wonder how Whoopi feels about Dianne Feinstein fighting to keep the Confederate flag up in San Francisco when she was mayor there. Ooh, great question, Kristen. Our members are smart and knowledgeable. Artificial Morphisman on YouTube Super Chat says, if Ojeda runs for just a Democratic platform with that energy and strength, he will win. He's already in the press. I want to read you that because I want to give you a note. If Ojeda starts doing really well, I guarantee you now, hear me now, quote me later, the press will turn on him. Okay? And it'll be a sight to behold. But that'll also be a mistake because then he can also go after them, and then we're having fun. Okay, now Anna, sorry.
Stacey Abrams has conceded in the state of Georgia in the governor's race against Brian Kemp. Now, Brian Kemp was the Secretary of State overseeing the election as this election was taking place, and that was a giant conflict of interest, and he refused to recuse himself. Voters were disenfranchised, particularly African-American voters in the state of Georgia, and the race was incredibly close. It was a very tight race, and Stacey Abrams and her campaign, in addition to almost 36 lawyers, were considering taking this case to court and fighting to prove that voters were disenfranchised and that there were too many irregularities and that there should be another vote on this. However, she has decided to acknowledge Brian Kemp and his win in the state of Georgia.
So I want to be clear about a couple of things here. The race was not as close as the ones in Florida. So if you're wondering, it was, of course, still incredibly close, but not as close to the ones. Why would that be contested? Because it wasn't how close Stacey Abrams was to Brian Kemp that's the issue. It's that if Brian Kemp went under 50% of the vote, in Georgia there's an automatic runoff. And he was so close to being under 50%. He was at 50.2. He was only 18,000 votes away from being under 50%. And he had done massive voter suppression. So as I was looking into Stacey Abrams' potential lawsuit, I was thinking the main thing is, can they use voter suppression as part of the argument, or can they not? Do they just have to rely on the malfunctioning machines and the long lines, and some people were told the wrong information about provisional ballots, etc. And it turns out you cannot use voter suppression. You have to only use the things that happen on that day, and it would have been very difficult to prove that there was 18,000 of those cases. And the other thing that would have happened is it would have dragged out long enough that it would have gotten past when the runoff would normally be, which is December 4th. And then the courts are going to be very reluctant to order a different runoff than on December 4th. So it would have been, I thought, honestly, and I was going to come on here and tell you guys when we were preparing this earlier in the day, look, I want her to fight, and I wish they could make the case on voter suppression, but it's going to be a really difficult case. But apparently they also came to that conclusion, and that's why she's conceded.
This is such a frustrating case because we know that voters were disenfranchised. We know that the rolls, were purged, and Brian Kemp cheated, just flat out cheated as Secretary of State. And I wish the media had done a better job picking the story up earlier so she could have fought, with the attention of progressives and liberals nationwide. She could have fought earlier to get him to recuse himself, step down as Secretary of State. It's hard to fight after the fact. It's hard to fight after the election. And so this is it's devastating because this goes against democracy. Disenfranchising voters, taking away their ability to be part of the democratic process is just disgusting. And it shows you the lengths that Republicans will go to just to steal an election.
I wonder, now that this has happened, is there going to be a reform? Is there going to be laws that are going to be, put in place to prevent something like this from happening in the future? How does that go?
Yeah, so I have a definitive answer to that. In the state of Georgia, absolutely not, because the new governor will be Brian Kemp, the guy who cheated in the first place. So, look, when we say cheat, the guy took off over 1 million people from the voter rolls in the last couple of years in his role of Secretary of State. He gets to do that, full well knowing he was going to run for governor. And it got worse and worse as it went on. About 350,000 people taken off in the last year, disproportionately Democratic voters, disproportionately African-American voters. And in the last batch that he disenfranchised, 70% of them were African-American. His opponent is African-American. It was outrageous. And so Anna's absolutely right. The press should have flipped out over that. How can you stay as Secretary of State and oversee your own election, especially as you're literally just saying all these people in one state, over 1 million people are now at a minimum have great difficulty voting, but most of them not allowed to vote. And so that's how you fix your own election. But now he's governor, so he's not going to fix anything. He's going to make it worse. So I hope the press in Georgia and the rest of the country are vigilant, because the guy's a well-known cheater. And he won by 0.2%, at least avoided the runoff by 0.2%. So the cheating totally worked.
Yes, that's right.
And so what is he going to learn from that? Sucker media. I just call them liberal bias, and they just heel at my boot, right? And the Democrats don't fight enough throughout. So I'm just going to keep on cheating because it helped me win. And it definitively did. So, look, last thing is, it's easy to get discouraged because Stacey Abrams was such a great progressive candidate. But keep a couple of things in mind, guys. And some of the big names on the progressive side lost in these elections, so it gives you a misleading sense of what happened. Remember, it's the state of Georgia. The fact that an African-American, really progressive candidate came within about a point of winning the governorship in the state of Georgia means the Republicans are in a world of trouble. So, they're this close to losing Georgia. What are they down to? Alabama and Mississippi, okay? And overall, this was, the election was not a tsunami, but it was definitely a wave. So I just want to give you context on that. Right now, the Democrats have already won 34 seats. They're slated to win, it looks like, because there's still some left undecided in the House, about 38. By the way, I predicted 38. Okay, so, and that's not why I brought it up, though. Okay, but I want to give you context.
I rolled my eyes when I was
that makes two of us.
Fair. Okay, but to get to the point I wanted to make, Obama lost the 2014 election. Democrats lost 24 elections when 2014 when Obama was president. And the Republicans were like, oh, see that? The country hates him. It's a mandate. That's why we're going to block a Supreme Court justice, etc. You know how many seats the Republicans picked up in that election? 13. That's it. 13. And Democrats here are going to pick up about 38. Okay, and in 2006, Bush got slaughtered. And he stopped listening to Dick Cheney because it was that bad a loss. And he said...
was he allowed to do that?
And he...
to stop listening to Dick Cheney?
Well, Dick Cheney didn't think so. And he said it was a thumping and the whole press, oh my God, the Republicans got killed. You know how many seats they lost? 30. This time around they lost 34 already and likely 38. Okay? So this was a big, big win for the Democrats. And of course today Trump's out going, we had an epic victory.
Epic victory.
But in Trump's mind, maybe he's right though, because he called 6 bankruptcies smart business. So maybe losing 38 seats is an epic victory to him.
Well, that's the family business, isn't it? Bankruptcy.
Yeah.
No. Let's be fair. To be fair, his father was actually a good businessman.
He was a terrible guy.
Terrible guy, unscrupulous guy.
Really bushy eyebrows. Did you notice something?
And
really
he could
bushy.
not police his eyebrows.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he was effective in business. At least made a lot of money. Okay. Trump has nothing to do with that, right?
Yeah.
It was the exact opposite.
Right. Because Ivanka also joined the family business because she filed bankruptcy too. So.
Yeah. You're right. Since Donald Trump, they're very consistent in how bad they are at business.
All right, I want to get the last break out of the way, and when we come back, we are going to destroy a right-wing troll who went after Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for wearing clothes.
And we're going to find out if I have finally passed, if I have knuckled up and finally passed John Iderola. TYT.com/Jan to join. Go. You're about to watch some behind-the-scenes footage of the Young Turks. If you want to get all of them, you become a member. Go to tyt.com/join, and you'll get all the behind-the-scenes of me, Anna, John, JR, a little bit reality show-like. tyt.com/join, and enjoy this. You know what you're seeing behind me in Jersey? Hold. Watch me flip this camera. However I flip it. Do I flip it like this? No, I just took a picture. I'm fixing right now. Behind the scenes. Okay. She doesn't have her face on, folks. Oh, that's Jared's ass right there. You can't take 5 minutes off, can you? No, I can't, Johnny. Why? I said it was live stream. I was lying. It's not a live stream. It's just for members. Bitsy, this is my cat. You know what his name is? Kinky Cat. Animals are innocent. Control room and the insanity is obviously there. Right, as you can see, I'm directing. I'm so happy to be here. This is what, like, a Labor Day beard looks like for Jenny. Man, you're a Young Turks viewer if you recognize me like this. Thank you. You are the one person in my life I would love to meet. What's going on, guys? This is Mitzi from BTS, or behind the scenes with the Soft Hiker, aka Woke Bay.
Oh, hi, I didn't see that.
I have finished my show the day before, and now I'm getting over the awkward time of the day. When I'm sitting, the control room is right there, okay? So I can see Bart. That's the Pittsburgh office, by the way. I'll refer to often as the boiler room. Look at this masterpiece that I drew. You see how it's ripped? Is this super unprofessional to wear that at a business meeting? Or am I like cool rebel?
I just finished doing the power panel and I'm fired up.
What do you do for TYT? Not a whole lot. If you're frantically tweeting at us that something's broken, thank you because I'm fixing it. And thank you for being a TYT member. Super last thing. There's always got to be a super last thing. Oh, that was disastrous. This has been behind the scenes. Behind the scenes.
They rather lose to Republicans than have a progressive win with them. That's how dumb the corporate Democrats are. The Democrats have voted anonymously. At the end of the day, they're the ones who have pushed the right-wing agenda. Whoever wrote that, I'm sure they were typing with one hand and going like this. The Democrats are dead. The way you feel right now, that's how a chump feels. Not freak out.
Public opinion, your opinion, has zero effect on public policy. The richest people in the country, their opinion has a direct effect.
Leslie Byrne, a Democrat from Virginia, describes that when she went to Congress, she was told by a colleague, quote, always lean to the green. And to clarify, she went on, he was not an environmentalist.
Our government actively serves the richest and the most powerful and turns its back on everyone else.
Finally, end the corruption and get money out of politics and give us back our democracy. All right, back on the Young Turks, and NBC writes in the members' comments section to clarify, and thank you for doing this. She did not concede, referring to Stacey Abrams, saying she said she acknowledged Kemp's taking the position, but has not conceded. I hope you listened to her. It was a spectacular speech. And so I hear you on that, but when she says she acknowledges that he's going to take the position, the die is cast, and certainly the media will treat it that way, and I think in this case probably fairly. But Miss Laura Palmer, also in the member section, another good point, she's already said she's filing a suit to make changes to the Georgia voting systems. Oh, that I love.
Yes, that's fantastic.
And here's another thing I'm very interested in, let's put it that way. I just got the last set of numbers. Last set of numbers on people who have signed up for membership through tyt.com/John, Anna, and Jack. John Irola at 166. Jank Huger at 168.
Aww.
John, I got a damage report for you. Okay, no, thank you guys. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who signed up through any of those URLs. You're wonderful. And I hope that we're delivering for you guys. And today we have a post game. Normally the Friday post games are done by some of the crew, Malcolm Flesh and Dave Kohler, etc. But we're doing them live today. So members, right afterwards, me, Anna, and Mona. Mona's going to stay around. I want to find out a little bit about how Mona grew up, etc. And so tyt.com/Jank to join up and get those post games. All right.
All right, fun.
All right, Anna, what's next?
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has been attacked for a number of ridiculous things, but one of the things that the right wing likes to attack her for is the way she dresses. When she was in a magazine profile piece and was wearing a suit that cost $3,000, they argued that she is not who she says she is, that she enjoys fancy, expensive clothing, even though when you go on photo shoots, you don't actually keep the clothes. There's a stylist there, they dress you up, and then you change, give the clothes back, and you're on your way. But nonetheless, this attack continues to happen, and the most recent attack was by a Washington Examiner writer by the name of Eddie Scarry. Now, he had tweeted the following and then later deleted it because it was stupid. Hill staff members sent me this pic of Ocasio-Cortez they took just now. I'll tell you something, that jacket and coat don't look like a girl who struggles.
Look, there's so many things wrong with that, but first is, how do people know everything's prices? Like, that looks like a perfectly normal coat to me. Who looks at that and thinks like, oh, okay, I got this. I know exactly. What is he on? The Price is Right?
Yeah.
I don't know how he knows that.
Yeah, exactly.
And by the way, he's wrong.
Exactly. He later deleted that tweet because there was this. People were on the attack. Once they saw it, they criticized him for it. So he deleted the tweet, writing that he felt it had been misinterpreted. No, there's really nothing to misinterpret there. You took a photo of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a creepy one at that, like taking a picture of her from her back when she doesn't even see you taking the. She didn't take the picture, to be fair, but whoever did, it's really creepy to just take a picture of someone as they're walking in front of you, just so you can go ahead and ridicule them in whatever you think they're wearing. Anyway, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has responded to accusations like this in the past. I want to give you some examples of that. Now, in regard to this controversy, she said, if I walked into Congress wearing a sack, they would laugh and take a picture of my backside. If I walked in
conservatives scary about her? They just, like, you're obsessed.
They are obsessed
right?
with her.
Are they going around to like Chuck Schumer? Look at his clothes, right?
No, because Chuck Schumer helps them out. Like, let's keep it real. Chuck Schumer falls in line, gives them what they want. I mean, all you got to do with Chuck Schumer is promise a standalone bill on anything, and he'll concede. Like, he'll give you anything you want. You just give him a promise on a standalone bill to protect doctors.
You ever see the right anti-Semitic lawyer? You probably never even heard of Semitic lawyer, most of you, right? He's actually the number 2 Democrat in the House.
Yes, I'm fine.
He takes corporate money just like that, and then conceits the Republicans day in, day out. That's what he's known for. So she is a threat, and now she's in their house, because that's really our house, okay? And they view it as like, hey, that's where the lobbyists go and get bills for their corporate clients, and she's not taking corporate money. Danger, danger. So there's a call, and it's coming from inside the house. And so that's why they're scary.
I wanted to point out the fact that he calls her a girl. So there's no Congress girl. There's Congresswoman. So let's just point that out. Why is it always about the clothes for women? Why?
Right.
As women, like, even if I saw the picture, she got that from Ross.
Yeah.
You can't tell, like, where she. How do you know the price?
Of all clothes in the world to comment on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so. It appears to me nondescript. They can't stand her. No matter what she does, they go after her.
His last name pretty much sums up his personality. It has the word scar in it, all the scars of all the hugs he missed out.
I actually want to talk.
It's like these are all comic book villains, right? I mean, there's literally Scar from Lion King.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about Eddie Scari, because he paid a price for trying to smear AOC, and the price was people looking back on his Twitter account to see what kind of other disgusting things he's posted. So he's got a creepy, misogynistic streak, and I'm not just saying that. He proves it time and time again. So on the weekend of the White House Correspondents' Dinner last year, Scari surreptitiously snapped 2 shots of women's posteriors, that means ass, and posted the photos on Fishbowl DC. And here's what he commented. Okay, so first of all, the fact that any publication would be like, yeah, this is worth publishing. Random picture of random people's backsides where our writer is going to go ahead and ridicule them. He wrote, the pink one is particularly bulbous, but the lumpy gray one takes the cake and eats it too. What? Scari took pictures of weird sightings, as he put it. Among them were several with big butts. He said, this big butt, one of many that made an already cramped event that much smaller, another big butt, and one final series of big butts. So just an example of the expert commentary that this clown shares on his social media and also on publications like Fishbowl DC. By the way, the last set of disgusting comments was from back in 2012. But hey, Washington Examiner, definitely willing to hire this clown because they're clowns themselves, conservative outlet. Another example, this one's a screenshot. Not so fast on cutting funding for a government study on overweight lesbians. I myself would like to know why they're fat.
Well, is he served Mix-a-Lot? What's with the butt talk? What is happening?
He's got a thing for feet too. Took a photo of some woman's feet.
Really?
Yep, he took a photo.
Oh my God, this guy's a total creeper. Does he do any upskirts? By the way, I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't.
I think he's into toe cheese. Maybe that's.
Oh
God, okay.
He looks like toe cheese. But anyway, so he took a picture of some random woman's feet. She's wearing heels, and he wrote, "Check out the bunion on this otherwise cute woman's foot." He tweeted this last summer, posting photographic evidence to accompany his remark. And he also tweeted that a blogger, Stacey Drake, was a whore when she dared to criticize him.
Classy.
Wow. Yeah, so that's who he is.
What? All right.
All right, I'm going to quickly do one last story. So let's get to it. Ben Shapiro likes to decide what type of anti-Semitism is worse, which sounds like a weird premise to start on, but during a speech in Pittsburgh University, he said the following. Take a look.
But to Jews worldwide, and to Jews more deeply over time, The clear answer to which of these types of anti-Semitism is most threatening is not the white supremacist threat. Okay, the real answer is institutionalized left-wing anti-Semitism, which works in combination with radical Islamic anti-Semitism at a high level.
I just want to note quickly that he's in the state of Pennsylvania, where a white supremacist went into a synagogue and murdered, I believe, 11 Jewish individuals.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what type of anti-Semitism serves as the biggest threat.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's incredibly disrespectful to the dead in Pittsburgh to have said that. And so, and now let's get to the absurdity. So, what left-wing anti-Semitism? Is there any conspiracy theories about how George Soros rules the world on the left? No, that's on the right. And Ben, who attacked you and had brought in little people wearing yarmulkes to make fun of you? Oh, that was Milo from the right. Okay, so what is this? And then to say that there is left-wing anti-Semitism connected to radical jihadist anti-Semitism? Yeah. What on God's green earth are you talking about? That's just nothing but garbage, total lies. Name one leftist who's connected to radical jihadists. It's preposterous, right? Now, you want to know what he's alluding to, okay, and why he's lying? Because he's a hard right-winger here in America and also as it comes to the policies of Israel. So he says, well, if you don't agree with the occupation that has lasted decades and decades, well, I'm going to pretend that you're anti-Semitic. And that's actually a policy disagreement, not somebody going into a synagogue and murdering 11 Jewish Americans on ground you're standing on, okay? No, but I'm going to politicize that because you're a sick person and say, oh, the policy disagreements, I'm going to say, are worse than the actual slaughter of Jews in Pittsburgh. Disgusting.
Can we just also point out the fact that when this terrible massacre occurred, the Muslim community pulled in what, $120,000 for the Jewish community and for the victims.
Sounds like a huge threat to the Jewish community.
Oh my God, it's horrifying. These Muslims.
How they want to help.
How they want to help. They're just scaring you into, loving you. I mean, I just want to know, like, this radical Islamist thing that he's talking about. I don't know a single radical Islamist who lives in a van with pro-Trump stickers.
Sending bombs. Random people. Well, not random people.
With a former stripper job under their belt.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, so that's right. Not only the guy who did the synagogue shooting, but the guy who sent all the bombs also had anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, also right-winger, loved Trump, and also thought Soros was the root of all problems. Right. So, look, Ben, I guess you think you're being cute, but you're helping that side spread horrible, horrible anti-Semitism, and you're doing it for political gain. It's really gross.
By the way, this anti-Semitism. All right.
All right, sorry, we're out of time, but we got a post-game. We'll continue that with Mona at that time. Bye, Bob.